built it a long time ago, and her husband, since then, he goes back and forth, and she goes on the weekends.
I can't believe she's retiring age.
Don and I sat with the gentleman that showed you the pictures. That's from Gordon County.
Oh, that's,
And we sat with him at breakfast Saturday. Very, very nice man.
Have they already gotten other superintendent?
Yes, they have someone they interviewed, and they were, when they were going back, they were gonna name that person, I think, as a sole finalist.
Oh, okay. Good.
That we were able to sit with them.
Y'all ready to get started with our,
Oh, we're gonna call it to order?
yeah, we got a guest.
We're gonna get paid, we have to call it order.
We have a guest. that
And we
is
have a
here.
guest.
I'm like a bad debt, I keep telling you. How are you?
And you still won't get paid.
Yeah.
Y'all cut $7 million in the budget, didn't you?
Yeah, we did, and you're gonna get a percentage.
All right, we'll call the public hearing to order. You have the agenda before you, and the only item on the agenda is the discussion of the public hearing part. We'll have our regular board meeting after that. So, Mr. Kelly, I will turn it over to you.
Okay. Bob, you want me to go through that again?
I'm sorry?
You want to go all the way through that again?
Yeah. No, you don't have to go through it all again.
Okay.
You just tell me you cut $7 million out of it.
You lie, I couldn't tell you that.
Well, I think it might be good to go through it for Trey. a
Okay,
bit, and
we'll do
if
it.
anybody else comes in as well.
Trey, I'll go through this for you then.
I've been through it, but I'm fine.
Okay. The, page 1 is the budget itself that the board approved at the aggregate level. The rest is more supporting information to support the budget as far as going to the object code, but this is the actual level that the board approves the budget on. It's a $72 million budget, and I know that it's been questioned about the fund balance of 6.3 going to 765. I just wanted to let you know that fund balance at the end of the year will be 6.3. The reason I overinflate some expenditures is because we have health insurance for every employee budgeted, whether they take it or not. Now, doing that, it builds in extra money for, you can carry over 15% of the budget. So for next year, if our budget includes a higher number, we can carry over. So if we knew that the state cuts were gonna be, we're gonna have state cuts. We don't take over 15%, but if we needed to take over 15% and we could prepare for it, that gives me another $800,000 that we
Right.
can carry over from one year to the next. And that's why I over budget, because actually in the workshop I was in, guy told me, he said, budget as much as you can, because as far as it allows you to do exactly what I said. And he had called me this morning and asked about the fund balance, so.
Yeah, I'd had a couple calls about, and
And
that
Dr.
was the
Clay.
second, but, the fund balances look like you're dipping in the reserves. I talked to him.
And
He
we're not
showed
gonna
me
give
that
out
we're
the
not
money in
dipping.
September, no.
No, but, and I gave Dr. Clay the list of where my actual numbers are.
Mr. Wolf, got a question?
Okay, so basically, you're saying the fund balance is 6.3 million?
That's what we project to end the year we're in right now.
And you added money to this, Gary?
I've done it every year. Let me just tell you this. In my budget, there's about $1.6 million in salaries because of teachers. I have 5 teachers that we don't budget, that we don't plan to hire. We have 5 pairs. And then when you take the teachers that are outgoing, what I do is budget average teacher salary. So whatever we end this year with, those people are advanced a step on the pay scale. Now, 50 of them may retire, but what I build this budget in February based on all the people there. So if 50 people retire and 50 people are hired at a new level, that builds money into the budget. So those 2 areas build money into the into salaries. Where I was saying I budget health insurance for every individual, that's in the neighborhood of $2 million for health insurance that we hopefully don't have, but it all depends on who we hire.
Absolutely.
So,
They could take their husband's health insurance
true.
as opposed to budget.
And in operations, we've been, at the end of the year, been coming up about 725. What happened on there was Hurricane Katrina, gas went to not a gallon, but we had that. So I continue to budget our gas at that amount. So I know that's, hopefully we won't have a Hurricane Katrina, but it's in there if it is. And then I do not budget for midterm adjustment from the state because we do not know. If you grow your FTE money, you get more money at midterm adjustment, but if you do not grow, they hold you harmless and you get what you earn to start the year with. So we usually grow and get some midterm adjustment. This year, a little over $300,000. But I don't budget for that revenue because I don't know it's coming. So that builds in about $5 million. So if you add $5 million to the 765, that'll be before we'll end the year next year.
So there won't be a need to borrow any money. That was one of the
No.
questions that we had last week, that it's, because of the reserve that we have.
Exactly.
But it appears that way on in the paper. I mean, when they.
I
posted
could
the budget.
change that. I mean,
Well, no, I just saying that your explanation makes sense, but I think that's why I got the calls was, it appears as you're dipping, if you deficit $5 million this year and you're $5 million next year, but you only
Trey,
got $8 million.
I've done this.
I know, but I
No,
couldn't
no,
find
I'm
it.
just saying, I'm gonna say, I've done it for 20 years, I've always got that question
Same question.
from Dr. Clark.
Oh,
But,
okay.
and I've always told him the answer, and every year, he comes back and asks the question, and I said, where did I tell you within next year, you know, where are we in it, but I know that those numbers are in there.
Gotcha.
All right, pages 2 through 19, I'm not gonna go through every page, but I'm just gonna, the first page 2 is local revenues, that's our taxes and our SPLOST money. State revenues, page 3, that's our QBE money. Federal, page 4, that's our Title I, Title 6B, and food service money make up the 3 main components of that. We get some federal money for the vocational program. That's very small in that as a percentage of the total. Page 5, instruction. That's going to be the majority of our expenditures of the system, and that's going to be direct instruction with the students. So anything that's direct with the students is in there. Teachers, parents, counselors, technology specialists go in that category. Your instructional supplies, textbooks, and now software is a major component. Copies are a big expense in that. Pupil services, that's where our athletic supplements are, our psychologists, social workers. It's services to the student, not direct instruction. Improvement of instructional services, that's gonna be our instructional support. It's gonna be like our curriculum office and in that area. 2210 educational media services, it's anything that happens in the libraries, that's your media specialists, your paraprofessionals, media software, materials. 2300 is general administration, that will be the superintendent, the expenditures of the board, Jennifer, our central person out front, Kim, and then our legal fees will be in that category. Go ahead.
Back up one page, the 2220 educational media services, that $81,000, that's the $81,000 we give to the county to support the library system.
It is.
Okay. That we give to the county to support the library system.
Correct.
But we don't give it to, I mean, I brought that up, you give it to the county, but the county wouldn't have to fund it if we took it away.
The
county gives money too, correct?
They would have to give more.
Right.
Well, they would have to keep the same budget, but they don't
To
have to.
keep the library services. No, they don't have to provide the library if they don't want to.
And I see I made that 2210 twice, but it's 2220 on the, y'all can't see it up there, no way. 2400 school administration, that's your principals, assistant principals, your secretaries at the school, office supplies, and not really that much in office supplies, but I mean, they don't have much operations in the school administration. Most of it goes in direct instruction. $2,500 business administration, that's my department of accounting. You've got 3 accountants, myself, and a warehouse manager. He actually fits into the business administration role because he's central receiving. Our costs went up this year. We have never had a software program, and y'all approved it at the last meeting. For us to have a software that's gonna do our online purchase orders and stuff like that. $2,600 maintenance and operation, that's gonna be your custodial grounds maintenance. The biggest cost in there after the personnel would be the energy of the schools and then the property insurance. 2,700 student transportation, your bus drivers, your mechanics. Big other cost would be fuel. The maintenance on the bus, I haven't changed the maintenance on the bus budget, and we have new buses, so we have had a budget, a good thing from that. So at the end of the year, we try to use some of that money to put back into our system as far as like repairs and maintenance and classroom carpet and stuff like that. 2,800 central support services, this is Kevin's department, human resources. 2,900, this number's never changed for, I don't know, 20 years. That's our membership to the RISA. For the non-staff development portion, we pay another $7,000 for staff development. 3,100 food service, that's the operations, everything over in the food service department. Outside of the food, the services for the people, the food will be your major expense. 3,300 community service operations, that's our after-school program. You'll notice a big expense in there for equipment, and what we try to do is from their proceeds every year is to try to move some of that and pay for something in the system to offset the cost. We were going to purchase the buses last year from the after-school program, those mini buses, but at the end of the year, when I tried to close out, it would not let me put bus purchases in that fund. So I had to move that back to the general fund, and I said I'll deal with the money from the other next year. So there's going to be some money in the after-school program that we thought we spent last year for mini buses that at year end it would not let me close a bus purchase in that fund, so I had to move that out. 4,000 capital outlay. This year we have none. We spent all our SPOS projects. The last project was the lighting project that they're supposed to be underway with. But we think we need some local projects. There's no more SPOS money.
Gary,
Yes?
wouldn't the roof on building A be considered capital outlay in this building that we are?
If we paid for it without capital outlay funds, it would, but we're considering it regular maintenance and paying for it out of the general fund, with general fund operations, so I charge you $2,600, maintenance and operation is more of a, you could consider it capital outlay, but I'm considering it more of repairs and maintenance. Yeah, you could do either one,
Cause it says repairs and maintenance and the construction of that field house over by the track.
that was in there, 4,000, that would be in the 4,000. Anytime you construct a new building, it's definitely 4,000, but if you're putting a new roof on, you could call it capital outlay, or you could call it just regular repairs and maintenance. I guess it depends on if you think it's material or,
Is it subject to the normal, basically accounting rules where it extends the life of the
useful
building,
life, and
or you
you
know,
could.
but it's still they're pretty lenient, more
Yes.
so than.
It's more on our standpoint from the funding source. We try not to charge anything to 4,000 in general fund.
I thought I remembered about governmental instead of
Yeah.
temperamental.
So basically, if it's 4,000, we need it in capital projects fund 300. So my funding source for that project was out of local funds. So rather than shifting local funds through a transfer to capital projects and then put it in capital projects and paying that out 4,000, I just coded 2,600 as repairs and maintenance.
Okay.
5,100, that's our annual debt service requirements for, and you can see the total indebtedness on that page. Page 20 is a breakdown of the summary of the budget. Don pointed out last week that, you know, our budget is 87%, and, you know, that's 2% over the national average, it was 85%. That's $1.3 million, and I looked at, all our teachers got a $3,000 raise this year. That's 400 and something people, and if you look at that, that's a little bit more than $1.3 million. So, I mean, that could be your 2%. I mean, we didn't have that. You follow what I'm saying? 2% of the total budget was $1.3 million, and teacher raises about 1.4. So, expenditure summary by object. This is every expenditure of the entire system and what percentage it is for the object codes of the total budget. Your breakdown of salaries by type on 22, and that's just the total salaries and how much of each of the total each object code is of the total salaries.
Gary, can I back up just a
Sure.
minute? I'm sorry.
No.
The debt is 20 million, is that correct?
Yep, sounds right.
On
Hang on,
page
let me look.
19,
Yes, 21 really.
21 million. That would be for the construction projects?
That would be SPOS bonds, and if you look at the 2014A and the 2014B, so 10 million of that is from SPOS, and it'll be repaid. Those will be repaid in the next 2.5 to 3 years. Wait a minute. The 14B isn't. The 14A. Wait a minute. It is too. Over the next 5 years. The 16 is the bond that we did the high school field house on, and that one was over. It was a 30-year.
And that was 11, is that?
That was. You got 11 in SPOS bonds, and you got 11 in the long-term general obligation.
Okay.
All right. And we went through last week what was the changes in the revenues and the changes in the expenditures. The big thing is the state funding the teacher raises and the revenues, and in the expenditures, the big thing was the teacher raises. But we had 6 new positions and teacher pay raises.
And the state sent down the $3,000 per teacher?
They sent down, our QBE increased $2.6 million. Our cost of the teacher raises was 1.4. Your students earn, our FTE goes up each year, so, and they increase the teacher's retirement cost. So every time we get more students, we get more money. So our state allotment did increase, and they funded the majority of the teacher raises. We have, and that was a question today on the GDO we sent down, is how many positions on our allotment sheet is funded, and it's like 370 something, and we have 400 and something. It may have been 420, but there's like 50 positions that they don't fund.
That are locally?
Like teaching, yeah.
Okay.
But when I would pick up on that is, they don't fund pre-K teachers, but right from the start funded. And then we charge some to 6B that the state doesn't fund. So, I mean, but we have several teachers they don't fund that we do to lower our class size.
The position that we're creating over in transportation, is that gonna be?
That'd be a
funded?
local cost. Well, what I would like to say, and I don't think I did a good job of that at the last meeting when the question was raised, that position used to be funded in the budget with Ricky, and Angie was Ricky's counterpart. She was there for him. Ricky felt like that she could handle the job, and she thought she could, and we did. But I mean, a job that 2 people were handling one time, it gets to be more than one person can handle, and she's done a great job. But I mean, it's kind of overwhelming.
and I'm certain it is, the combined salary of those two, I think, hers was 53, I don't know what the 2% raise, what that would be. I don't know what Ricky's was at the time.
Ricky's was in the 60s, and hers was probably in the 40s at that time. So I mean, it's a lot more. Don't get me wrong, but we put a certified person in that, and when you put a certified person in that, you kind of dictated in the salary you got to pay them because of the state pay scale.
I understand.
But if you
The state
put,
doesn't recognize it as a certified position.
well, no, they do. They do not recognize a certified position, but you know, there's not a Ricky Canterbury out there that I mean, I loved him to death. He was great at that job. But, you know, Dr. Miller thinks that the person that he's put in there is going to do a great job with it, and we need a great job done with
So
it.
if you felt like it was necessary to do the things that you want to do with the bus situation, the discipline on the bus and the handling of the schedule and that kind of thing, or you wouldn't have gotten a certified
Yes,
person?
ma'am, and Miss Angie is having to drive a bus a lot.
Right.
So when she's driving the bus, she can't run the whole program. Where one of the great things Mr. Ricky used to do was he would get in his car and he would go to this school or that school and deal with the situation. And when Angie's driving the bus, which she did almost every day, we don't have a leader that can go and do that. We had a case this spring where actually Mr. Dowling had to go personally out to the location to provide assistance along with law enforcement. And so we feel like with the position that having the certified administrators, they can help us with the discipline as well as provide leadership and direction for the operation of the transportation department. And although it is a cost, I believe the benefits are going to come back to us in the return we get from the leadership that we'll have down there.
He met with me a week ago, and he's got some ideas on creating the opportunity for more people to come in, like a sign-in bonus, or maybe something, a finder's fee for some of our drivers if they find other. I mean, not that we implement, and that ain't in this budget. I don't have that in this budget, but I'm talking about it in the future things. So he's got some innovative ideas. I don't think it's something. He's going to do the K-5 discipline for the system, so that takes that off of your primary and elementary assistant principals. So.
And it brings consistency, and also it provides an opportunity for us to recruit, evaluate drivers for the program, some of the things that we need to do to improve what we're doing.
Any more questions?
Is that it? Here?
That's pretty much it.
Mr. Bob, do you have any questions for the
I've got an
public
estimate.
input?
I've got an estimate, and then student, the high school, student parking fees.
Yep.
How much are they?
7?
I think they're 30 now. I think 30.
And what happens to that money?
I would like to see it put aside and pay the parking lot, but they use that money for Kevin.
Golly.
Wow.
A lot of it, I'm trying to remember from back when, but a lot of it was,
Kevin just walked in.
all of it went back into the students in one way or another. I mean, some of it was to help pay for a state trip. You know, if our kids earn a trip to the state tournament, you know, that's not a budgeted process. And so, let's say the wrestling team, you know, earns a trip to the state tournament. Well, that's usually 2 or 3 nights worth of hotels, food, and such. And so, that some of that money will be helped pay for that. Some of it will pay for equipment in the school. You know, and I know for each one of the accounts, there's parking, there's lockers, 1 or 2 other accounts there, and each one of them kind of goes toward some other type of student program or student funding. So, Karen could probably tell you a lot more now because
She's handling that.
she handles that.
Well, my idea is like this, I think that money should go into a fund to pay the parking lot when it needs to be paid.
Right.
Now, that's up to the board. The board can vote to do that, or they can let it sit. That's one of those things y'all need to think about. Because someone asked me about that long ago and I brought it up.
Well, he was on the board for a long time.
Huh?
He was on the board for a while, and
Yeah.
career, he always.
Well,
Now,
he-
it would take a
he-
lot of $30 to
When
get
I was,
to.
when I was on the board, he brought it up again.
Yeah,
But it makes sense.
sure. But I mean, you'd be setting that money aside for 10 years to get it to a point where.
Because one thing too, when we had the playoff games,
Right.
which I hope we may have again, I was lucky enough to park on the far side in the swamp. And some of the areas over there, when you look out the window, it's like looking down the Matterhorn. It's not safe.
Right.
It needs to be fixed.
Well, if you park in the softball parking lot.
Yeah.
So,
One of the issues too there, Mr. Estrie, is the drainage.
Oh, I
Like
know.
softball, we can't, it's not just simply paving, it would be.
Well, I understand that.
So
There's
this-
a lot of
this-
issues back there.
And as Gary said, we have to keep $30 per student for a long time to get to that, where it would pay off. I'm not saying that's not a good idea, we certainly can look at that.
But you only pay the parking lot, what, every 5 or 6 years?
No, sir.
not around here. Not around here, it's about every 20 years.
I don't remember the last time it was paved, to be honest.
So, see,
We did pave the high school in parts, not the whole thing, but I mean, some parts when we
Yeah,
did.
when we did the,
Yeah.
now painting the lines there, you know, that's, sometimes that needs to be done a little bit more often.
Well, our bus shop does a lot of that for us, is painting our lines. They come out and repaint the lines.
I'm sort of old fashioned, I think, when you collect money for something, that should go back to what you collected.
I understand.
You know,
What was on the back of your shirt about the dirt roads?
I'm sorry.
On the back of your Jeep about the dirt roads, I always thought it was funny.
I'm trying to think. It burned up, so I don't remember.
Oh, it did.
You'll think of it.
Now, paved roads, another example of government waste.
There you go. I always loved to see that.
But I had a Jeep, so we could go somewhere.
Anyone else from the floor? Any board member have any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the public meeting.
I move we adjourn the public meeting.
All those in favor, let me know by saying aye.